Today is June 19th, 2018. I'm the curator, and this is the Curator Show. Today I'm here with Charlie, who runs a clothing brand called Envy Supply Co. What's up, man? How are you doing?
Yo, what's going on, man? How are you?
Pretty good, just working on the curator. What have you been up to?
Right now, I've just been working on a bunch of new clothes. We have like basically a new line coming out. Just a bunch of new stuff. Everything is going up for pre-order. So we're just working on different shit like that. So.
That's great, man. When does pre-order end?
So basically, all the new clothes that we're doing, basically once July 1st comes around, they're all going on just like normal shops, so you can just buy them anytime or what have you. But yeah, man.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so let's dive right into this. So tell me a bit about yourself outside of Envy Supply.
So I mean, I'm just like a normal like teenager, just like looking to like work on some shit. I feel like everyone has like different passions and whatnot, but like my shit's just been clothes. So I mean, other than like my clothing brand, I'm just like a normal fucking teenager, I guess, just like becoming an adult, I guess.
Yeah, I feel that's pretty cool. So you're still in high school?
Nah, so I graduated last year, but I've been like doing this since like junior year,
Yeah.
or like around like sophomore, junior year. So it's been around 4 years now. So, but yeah, I just graduated last year.
That's dope, man. Same. Where are you from?
So originally I'm from Massachusetts, but I moved to New Hampshire when I was like mad young, and so I feel like I grew up in New Hampshire, but I was living in Massachusetts for a little bit.
All right, yeah, that's pretty cool. How's the streetwear scene out there?
Honestly, I feel like the streetwear scene is like streetwear is everywhere, obviously,
Yeah.
but like I feel like people haven't. It's not like as prominent as I feel like the West Coast is, or more so like New York. They have a wicked huge streetwear scene, and LA, obviously, like those are my biggest demographics on my brand page. But like I feel like a lot of people aren't into the like newer shit. Like I think around here you'll see a lot of kids shopping at like Zoomies and PacSun, but not really into a lot of the shit that a really intimate streetwear enthusiast is into.
Yeah, so they aren't that deep into it. It's just more surface level type shit.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like you'll see a lot of people just shopping like the stuff they have at the mall, but I feel like a lot of the people in the streetwear niche are shopping at brands online, like new brands, and obviously like the more hype shit like Babe, Supreme, like more people who are more into that shit. You won't see that a lot around here.
Yeah, I heard the music scene's kind of like that too over there. I don't know what type of music you're into, but
No, exactly. I feel like it's weird. I feel like a lot of the people who are from here end up moving to like LA or like New York. Like I don't know if you know Adam 22. He runs No Jumper.
oh yeah, I've heard of it.
He literally was from the town next to my town. So like that just shows like a lot of the people who are successful in that scene end up moving to like where it's more prominent.
Yeah, definitely. He's in LA, right? Like now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, LA, he's in LA. But yeah, and then like people like FaZe Banks, he's a big YouTuber. He's really into streetwear. He's another person. I've actually met him in person. He's like a town over from my town. He used to live in Haverhill, Massachusetts, but
Yeah.
now he lives in LA.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, LA and New York, like you said, are definitely bigger cultural hubs. There's a lot more people, a lot more diversity. You get exposed to a lot more things. So how many years have you been running your brand? I know you kind of mentioned it earlier, but
So I started like in between my sophomore and junior year of high school. So it's been like 3 or 4-ish years. I don't have like the exact date I started or whatever, but it's been around 3-4 years. I started in 2015, but more towards the end.
That's pretty cool, man. Tell me a bit about the story behind your brand. You know, like how and, well, I guess we just covered when, but, you know, tell me a bit about Envy Supply Co.
Yeah, for sure. So basically, to just give you a background, like a real background, in my sophomore year of high school, I was extremely into graphic design. So when I was in like 6th grade all the way up to like my sophomore year, I'd been fucking around in Photoshop and Illustrator and whatnot, and just like that was my shit. Like art in general was always like a huge interest to me. And so by the time I was like a sophomore in high school, I was proficient in using all the graphic design software that's really out right now. And this other kid who I went to school with was like, yo, I know you're into graphic design. Would you want to start like a little brand with me? I was like, dude, fuck yeah, like I'm down with that. Like at this point, I wasn't even really like that into streetwear. The only streetwear I was really into was like, again, the shit you would see at Zoomies or PacSun. Like I was wicked into skating. Like that was my shit. I used to skateboard all the time. And so I wasn't really in that scene yet. And so basically me and this kid, we made like 2 shirts. We actually ended up selling all of them around school, and like everyone wanted one. And then like once that summer passed, like, and we sold all the t-shirts, we tried to do like another run, and no one wanted anything to do with it, solely because we weren't selling it at school. It was like a summer break or whatever. And so after that like summer break, this kid like really didn't want to have anything to do with it anymore. He was just kind of like, oh, this just seems like a little bit too much work for my taste. Like, so I was like, all right, I mean, I still like doing this a lot because obviously I was already into like graphic design and whatnot. So I was just like, fuck it. I'll just like, I'm basically, when you're designing, you're doing a bit of the work anyways out of like 2 people, like one person's getting the shirts made and one person's designing them. So, you know, it wasn't a big difference in what I was actually doing anyways at the time. So I was like, oh, fuck it. I'll just, you know, I really like doing this. And I like the idea of like putting art on a piece of clothing instead of, you know, putting it on the wall like someone could wear your art basically. So, and I just spent a lot of time trying to think of something that was really meaningful. Like you see a lot of people nowadays making clothing brands and they just slap their name on every single t-shirt and they think it's going to sell, and that's not really how it works. So I wanted something that like actually had meaning, and like, so I came up with the name Envy. Like originally it was just like Envy, but you know, that's something you really can't get trademarked or anything like that. So you can really protect yourself from using that. So I just put Envy Supply Co. or Supply Co. at the end, and I was like, I ended up getting that trademarked. And by the time I already got it trademarked, I was, you know, already making clothes and stuff like that. And instead of really focusing school-wise, like trying to sell clothes to the kids at school, I kind of knew that, you know, by the time you graduate or whatnot, like no one's going to be buying your clothes if you're just thinking really in that small kind of niche or small like area. So I originally was just marketing it through Instagram and just like taking photos, doing photo shoots with local people and posting it like, you know, a lot of the other brands are doing right now. And then, I mean, over time, by the time I was a senior, we had like 40,000, you know, followers on Instagram, and we were doing really well. Like we're getting sales in and whatnot. And by the time the Instagram algorithm thing happened, we lost a ton of engagement. And so now I'm basically just focusing on building a really big community, like a really tight-knit community. I took away all my followers and kind of starting from scratch right now. But the meaning behind the name basically was something that meant a lot to me, which was how, especially New England, whenever you were, whenever anyone stepped out of the box and was trying to do something unique, you always got a ton of people who just hated what you're doing and just didn't want you to succeed at whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's, being a musician or making clothes or being an actor or whatever it would be. Especially in New England, a lot of people don't like people who are different and want to do different things than, go to college, get a degree, get a job, So the meaning envy is just like the people who are your biggest fans are the people who hate on you. And, a lot of people think of the word envy in such a negative connotation. But I really think of it as such like a good sign, especially if you're doing something different, where if you see people, start to hate on you or start to, talk about you in a negative way, because what you're doing, you should look at it as a good thing because, it's just showing that you're on the right track. It shows that, people care enough to say stuff about you. People care enough to, to hate on what you're doing because they don't want to see you succeed. So, I mean, it just meant something really important to me. I try with every piece of clothing, I try to really tie that meaning into everything that I do. So that's kind of where I started and how I got about doing this and, where like the meaning of my brand came from and what it's all about really.
That's dope, man. Especially the name. I really feel that. It's really relatable. And I feel like a lot of people have kind of gone through the same thing too, especially people who've, seen some sort of relative success in whatever they're working on. Because, like you said, there's always going to be people hating.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even, what you're doing, I feel like people may look at it in a weird mindset. And it's just like, you're trying to achieve something. And if people are hating on you, that, you can really look at that as such a positive thing,
Yeah, man, it's motivation. With my old business, I received plenty of hate because I've been in business too since 2013, and it's just it fazed me at first, but I was young, and just got used to it pretty easily.
It really takes maturity to look at take a wider look at everything, and I think in general, like whether it's business or whether it's designing or what have you. I feel like everything that you do has to do with the, mindset that you look at everything in the glass you look everything in. Because, if you always have a negative mindset because people are talking shit or whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter. You have to think of everything in a positive light and, and that's how you're going to stay motivated and, keep doing what you're doing basically.
Yeah, man. Like you said, it's mindset. All right, so let's talk about the art a bit. You said you've really been into Photoshop and art in general for a long time. Were you self-taught or did you take any classes?
So I basically self-taught myself. Everything that I really do, like everything you see in my clothes was all self-taught. In high school, they did have a couple of courses on, graphic design and stuff, but it was actually extremely funny because I applied to be in one of the art classes or the graphic design courses, and the teacher knew that I was already into graphic design, and she told me that it wouldn't be a good idea if I went into the class because I would just be bored basically, because she knew that everything that she was going to teach me I would already know. So that was kind of an interesting thing that happened in high school about, taking classes. In general, I've never been able to learn very well taking classes or trying to learn things through classes. I've always had to be and learn from like the mistakes along the way, using like different programs or like learning different skills before I really got good at what I was doing.
Yeah, man, I feel that. I'm kind of the same way. More hands-on than in class. Do you go to college, or have you planned to go to college or anything in the future?
That was like a big thing for me, like at the end of high school, was deciding whether I thought it would be a good idea to go to college. But like I said, it's just like I never was able to learn very well, being taught things, and the only way it would really interest me or like be reasonable for me to go to college would to be to get a degree in whether graphic design, business, whatever it would be. But it wasn't a good investment, honestly, in my opinion, for myself. And at the same time, it's like I'd rather focus, all my time now, whether it be working on the side, like a part-time job, and then doing this. I feel like that's like where my happiness comes from, is being able to really like focus on what I'm doing and not use a degree as like an excuse for me not to be successful. I feel like if you have a plan B, you're almost setting yourself up for failure in a sense, where it's like, okay, whether it's whether it's consciously or non-consciously, you're just like, if you have a degree, you're almost like, it doesn't matter if I fail because I have a degree, So I really like, I'm really into the philosophy and shit of like being an entrepreneur and like having that like mindset, because I mean, to be successful in what you want to do, you really have to put yourself in such a mindset, and really be, all in, or like all or nothing, basically. I really believe in that. So.
I agree, bro. And that's great that you have a plan and everything. As long as you're happy, like you said, that's what matters the most. It's actually something that I talk about a lot with a bunch of my friends. It's the concept of education, especially in today's current world that we live in, where there's such an emphasis on, oh, you really need to go to college if you want to be successful at anything. But more and more people are deciding not to. Plus, college is expensive as fuck,
Yeah, so, it's almost like, I respect everyone that, because it's definitely not for everyone, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
At the same time, it's like, if you don't need it, I don't believe you should really waste your time with it. Or if you're focusing on something where you're not working for someone else, it's not like, I don't believe it's the best choice, because I mean, you're just, in this day and age, like, you're almost getting screwed once you get out of school, and Definitely. You're in a shit ton of debt if you aren't like an insanely smart student, and you have to find a job that can pay back that debt. And if you want a home or what have you, you're just stacking that on top of yourself. I know a lot of adults that went to school 30, 40 years ago, and they're still fucking in debt. You know what I mean? So it's really weird in today's society, and it was really something I had to think about really hard, about whether it was a good choice.
Yeah, man, the whole system's really fucked up. But there's plenty of alternative education ways anyway. Like you said, you can teach yourself.
If you need to go to school, there's go to community college, then get a degree at a public school or what have you. There's good options, definitely, to make it work, but you have to really take the time to think that through.
Yeah, it's just a big life choice, and a lot of people, especially our age, just don't necessarily have the balls to sit down and make a decision like that. They decide to go with the flow,
Yeah. And I think it also has to do with, like, I feel like a lot of people, like, teenagers who are trying to get into college, a lot of them don't know what they actually want to do. And then even if they don't know what they want to do, they don't even have the balls to tell their parents, like, I don't know what the fuck I want to do. And, I don't know if it's a good deal for me to go to college right now. I actually, like, it's something, like, I feel like it's kind of weird that, teens have to decide what they want to do for the rest of their life when they're, not even an adult yet, and they don't even know, they haven't even tried anything. Yeah, it's kind of weird. It was definitely a tough decision.
Yeah, man, I'm surrounded by people like that. I 100% agree. It's a weird situation.
Yeah.
You mentioned that the Instagram algorithm really, like the change in it really fucked up your old account. I kind of ran into the same thing with my old business / account, and it's just, I guess this isn't even really a question. It's just me being like, damn, that shit really fucked up a lot of people because, like I said, it happened to me, it happened to you. I know plenty of other people it happened to. Because my engagement now is shit. I had an account for my old business that was close to reaching 11,000. It was more of a personal account. But then suddenly they changed the algorithm, and now I could barely get like 200 likes, And I don't give a fuck about likes, but you know yourself, when it comes to business, the engagement's what matters. And if you can't even get engagement anymore, that's just some BS.
Yeah. It was weird. And I felt the same way. I was like, when that shit happened, I was extremely lost. And I really, it really took me a while to, sit down with myself and take the time to really reflect and really think it through, because it was almost like the community that was, giving everyone the information on how to market through Instagram was extremely false, in the sense where, if you wanted to market yourself on Instagram and you don't know shit about marketing, and you look up on YouTube or Google or whatever, how you can get better at marketing through Instagram, everyone had the same idea, same thing, strategy to go about marketing yourself on Instagram. And it was almost like an illusion where you were getting a ton of likes, and I was getting a ton of likes. At one point, I had almost 40,000 followers. We're getting, 500 to 600 likes per photo, doing pretty well, getting a lot of traffic on our page. And then once the algorithm almost wasn't putting your photo right in their face, because with the marketing strategy on Instagram, everyone was saying, figure out what's the best time to post, figure out when your niche is on Instagram, post at that time, and you'll get likes and comments and blah, 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 blah traffic. But once Instagram wasn't directly, throwing it into your followers' face, then no one checked out your page. And it was almost something that I had to realize over time, that instead of trying to grow extremely quickly and getting that traffic now, I think just and especially for you with your blog and whatnot, I feel like growing really slowly, but all the followers that follow you are genuine people who want to check out your page every day, regardless of whether you throw it in their face or not, is the type of community that I'm trying to build. At this point in time in my life, I don't really focus on the amount of followers I have. I don't focus on the amount of traffic I get. I don't focus on, the likes or what have you, different engagement. I'm just focusing on being such a important part of the streetwear community, just by engaging with other people and showing love to other people, that the people who actually come to my page and check me out and throw me a follow are people who genuinely want to see my shit. And it's if you are just a casual person and you just follow me because you like my feed or the art or what have you, I almost don't want them to follow me, because it's I want I want to build a community rather than build a following, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense, bro. That's exactly what I'm trying to do too. Like you said, it's about the slow growth. Everyone who doesn't really know what the fuck they're doing just wants, I want 1 million followers, I want 1 million likes, but they don't know that doesn't mean shit. Again, it's about the engagement, it's about the community. It's about that organic growth, because in the end of the day, it's those people that are spending the money on you, not all the 2 million people that just scroll by your pictures, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's the thing. Even when, I was getting 600 plus likes per photo, not like the percentage of people who are liking my photos to the percentage of people that actually went to my page and even like looked at my shit was so much lower. So right then it should have been a sign to me that, I need to be building a more close-knit community of people. And then that percentage of people who are actually checking out my page and the percentage of people who are actually buying clothes was even lower. So it's like, at the end of the day, I went from 40,000 followers to almost 1,000. And it's like, that's a huge difference. That's a big difference. And I'm not upset about it at all. I'm actually a lot more happier, because it's like when someone goes to your page and you're not getting a lot of engagement, but you have a buttload of followers, it's like almost like unauthentic. It's like, it's almost less trustful. It's like, why should I trust this brand? They look like kind of phony. And the biggest thing that I got when growing my Instagram page was, oh, do you buy followers? And I never bought followers, but people get that impression, if you see what I'm saying. And it's like, they think that it's unorganic, which it definitely almost is, but the majority of Instagram thought it was almost acceptable. So, I mean, right now, I think if you want to be big on Instagram, focusing on small growths, and getting the people who really care about you following you, instead of just trying to get followers.
Yeah, man, I completely agree. You started around your sophomore, junior year of high school. How hard was it to, be successful in school, but also work on the brand? Because I started my first business in 8th grade, and that shit, I had many issues. Not so much with school, but more just with the age restrictions. Because, there's a lot of shit that you can't do until you're 18. But what types of challenges did you run into?
So just like being in school, I'll start with just like the challenges of like being a student and trying to run a clothing brand. And then I'll do like the things that I had issues with not being 18 and like trying to run a business. Because like you definitely obviously understand that. But basically school-wise, I mean, I would say it was more so stressful for me to focus on, getting through school. I think that was my thing is, I got decent grades and whatnot, but my goal was just to get through school and just get through the system. And then once I finished kind of thing. And I think what really kept me sane was like being able to find like a teacher that was like almost a like true mentor to you. And it's extremely rare to find a teacher that is like a mentor. But I was like very fortunate to have a teacher that I could literally come to at any time and fucking talk about anything that had to do with school, business, what have you. And like, I was just grateful to have someone like that in school. And even this teacher, he knew my whole situation. So, he was like, he just wanted me to pass and get through school so I could focus on what was important. And just obviously getting different assignments, working on other shit other than clothes, was obviously a big issue. Stuff like that. But more so in just being a young person and trying to run a business, things that are difficult is like getting people to take you seriously. Like when you go to like screen printers and embroidery places and different suppliers of different stuff, a lot of people really like brush you off. Like, I actually used to work at a screen printer when I was like a junior, senior. But before I started working at a screen printing place, I tried out like a bunch of different screen printers. And I remember one specific occasion where I went to one screen printer to see like what I could get for a price for like something. And then I wasn't really satisfied. So I just looked up a different screen printer in the area, and it ended up being kind of far. It was like 40 minutes away from where I was at, probably like 40 minutes away. So I was like, fuck it, I'll just drive. Drove all the way up to this place. I like knocked on the door, went in, and the guy actually kicked me out or he wouldn't really talk to me because he was like, oh, I'm working on something. You need to come back a different time. And it's like, these are your hours. Like, I'm willing to spend a good amount of money for your services. But because, you're young, you're 16, 17 years old, people aren't really taking you seriously. They think you're going to come in and maybe be like, oh, can I get like 10 shirts made or something, or whatever it is. People don't take you seriously when you're younger. Some people, even, over the phone, they can kind of hear you and they don't really want anything to do with you almost. So stuff like that, people just like didn't really take me seriously with just like getting clothes made. And then also like business wise, like getting a trademark when you're not 18 is not a thing. Like my current trademark is actually under my mom's name, ironically, because at the time I just wanted to get the name trademarked and not have to worry about any legal issues in regards to my name. So my trademark, I had to get my mom to do my trademark. Originally I had to register my business under my mom, and then once I turned 18, we just did it through my name, and then getting like a trade name, so getting a bank account under your brand name or your business name, you have to be 18, obviously. So stuff like that was kind of an issue to me. So stuff like that, I guess.
Yeah, man, I feel that. Do you have any suggestions for anyone who might be in the same position that you used to be on how to get around some of those things?
I mean, yeah, I would say if you have a parent who's willing to, help you out while you're, just starting out, if you are under 18, I'd say if you have a parent who wants to help you out in that sense, you could go through your parents. But most of the time, I mean, my first business or clothing brand when I was a sophomore, it was more so like, when you're so small, it's almost like just test out the waters first, almost. And then once you're like committed, because a lot of people are very quick to be like, oh, I have like an awesome name and I have an awesome logo and like this business is going to be insanely big, and then they spend $600 to $1,000 on a trademark, and then they realize it's actually difficult and it's not an easy task to run a business and not an easy task to make clothes or whatever. It doesn't matter whether it's clothes, any business, a lot of people are really quick to judge. So there's a lot of cheap methods. I remember like one of the first videos I ever watched before I really launched my clothing brand NB Supply Co. I forget the guy's name, but it was like how to start a streetwear brand. And it was like, or how to start a streetwear brand under like $100. And he just gave you like the basic things that you would need to like run a business almost. It really had nothing to do with like making clothes. It's more so how to like start your business, which could apply to any business. But yeah, I mean, try to find a parent maybe, or just test the waters out. Like make a couple t-shirts, like really think about what you want to do, and you really have to be committed. I feel like a lot of people make brands very quickly, and they think it's just something you can make a quick buck off of, and then within a month they're not even existent. They're not even existing anymore. They're just a dead page, I guess.
Yeah, man, there's so much of that. It's kind of sad to see too, because I love supporting people and following their dreams, but a lot of people dive in just completely without doing any research, not knowing anything, and just die out, like you said, within a month or so.
Yeah, so, I mean, and it's just crazy because there's such an oversaturation of people trying to make apparel, make clothes, what have you. with any business, it doesn't matter whether it's closed. It doesn't matter if you're starting a business for, I don't know, fucking food or whatever, whatever you're trying to start a business for. But a lot of people don't realize that you genuinely have to be passionate for what the fuck you're doing, or you're just literally bound to fail. If you don't love what you're doing so much that you'll spend hours upon hours working on your clothes, spending nights awake, like working on whatever your product or service is, and you just love what you're doing so much that almost the hard shit doesn't matter because you're just so in love with what you're doing. Those are the people who are successful. And if you don't enjoy what you're doing, then you're literally bound to fail because you're a fucking sane person. A sane person would quit on something they don't enjoy doing, I think there was like some quote about that by, I don't know, some entrepreneur that said something like that. But yeah.
Yeah, man, I couldn't have said it better myself. Do you have a team or is it just you? I know you said you started with someone, but that was many years ago. I'm just talking about like right now.
Yeah, so basically, I originally, the first brand I had made, which wasn't even called like anything remotely close to what my brand is now, or even looked like what it was. But basically, I've been doing it solo since the beginning. A lot of people see my brand and they automatically assume that I have like a team of people working with me. But for the past 3 years, I've been doing it by myself. Which even once I do start hiring people, which I obviously am eventually going to be hiring people eventually. I just said eventually a lot. But when I start hiring people, I'm still going to be extremely hands-on with everything that I do. Everything that I do is so important to me that even if I do have people that I'm literally paying to work with me, I still am going to be super hands-on with it and make sure that everything that comes from, my name, which is my brand name, is how I like kind of expect it to be and want it to be. I feel like everything is just so important to me when it comes to this, so I just want to be super hands-on with it and ensure that everything's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, man, I get that, especially when it comes to all the details and the aspects of the work that needs to be really specific. It can be really hard to trust someone that you don't know if they could get the job done the right way.
Exactly. I mean, I don't personally know anyone right now that can do the work that I'm doing. Not to sound, not to like brag or anything. I'm not trying to brag, but I feel like to find someone that could work for me would have to be someone I personally picked. I couldn't like have applications or anything like that. I'd want to personally pick a certain person that I know could get the job done, because it's really hard to, especially in a business like this, it's really hard to trust someone.
Yeah, man, I get it. It doesn't sound like you're bragging, bro. That's just business. You got to do what you got to do to succeed. If there's no one around you that can hang, there's no one around you.
Yeah, especially around here. I mean, there's 100 brands that, are doing very well right now. But around here, it's really hard to come across someone that's doing something similar, So
Definitely. What aspects of the brand are your favorite to handle right now? Because, some aren't that fun.
I think it's just designing. I think that's like the original thing that really inspired me to start making clothing. And just every time that I make a new piece, like I just want it to look better than the last one. I would say designing definitely. It's just such a creative process, and really like creating something that has meaning to it almost is super important to me. So I'd say designing.
I could definitely agree with you on that. Do you think there's anything that you've learned like over the past few years that stands out?
I've learned fucking ton of things over the past 3 years. Things that kind of stand out. I would say like sticking to my gut is like one of the biggest things. And then another big thing is like not looking for validation. When it comes to designing and just in general how I like go about running my brand. I feel like especially being a sophomore, junior in high school, you don't even know yourself yet. And I think even now that I'm 19, I still don't know myself. And 10 years from now, I'm still not going to know myself. But being so young, you tend to just look for validation so much. And, you know, you make a design and you go to your friend or your parents or whatever it is and be like, oh, like, look what I made. And, you know, most of the time you'll probably not be like okay with the answers that you're going to get from people. Either one, them being extremely unhonest, which them saying, oh, that's really, really cool, but in the back of their mind they know, you know, it's trash or whatever. Or they're too honest and then it hurts your feelings almost, especially when you're really young. You know, someone saying, well, you could do this better, or this would look cool, or that, stuff like that. I just stop, whenever I make a design, I just make it. If I fuck with a design heavy, I'll just make it. I won't say shit, I'll just make it. And then, what was the one before? So validation, and then...
Sticking to your gut, you said.
What was that?
You said sticking to your gut.
Oh yeah, I mean that kind of goes in the same thing. Like whenever I fuck with something, I'll just go with it. If I have to make a tough decision, I'll just do whatever, you know, I think is the right thing. You know, I think just in general, it kind of is cliche almost, but your gut knows what the right choice is before you even know. So if you just go with your gut, it's going to bring you to where you want to be.
Yeah, man. I definitely feel that. I just had to do that recently on something. Could have been a pretty big opportunity, but just didn't feel right. And I felt stupid as fuck for turning it down, but, you know, like you said, got to go with your gut.
I agree.
So where do you see yourself and where do you see your brand 2 years from now?
2 years? I would say 2 years from now. I think I'll just end up doing, you know, what I've been doing and keep slowly growing and stuff like that. I think just like long term, I see myself being, you know, one of the biggest brands out there, I'd say, in streetwear. I wouldn't like compare myself to any like Supreme or Bape right now. Long term, I can see it being a lot bigger than, you know, it is right now. But 2 years from now, I'll be still, you know, grinding, working, trying to improve, really trying to get the quality right. I think right now, I really want to focus on making quality products instead of making, you know, a bunch of almost garbage. You know, no one likes to get a piece of clothing, spend $30 on a t-shirt, and the thing cracks within, you know, 2 months. I think just getting the quality right and really working hands-on with the clothing itself instead of trying to get other people making it is something I'm really focusing on. Just everything that comes out of my brand at this moment in time is pretty much handmade, and the prices reflect that. Everything that I've put out in the past, you know, month or so is all handmade, hand sewed, hand printed. It's just, I wanted everything to be super dope and just like high quality shit.
That's a good goal to have, though. Do you do the production yourself, or do you have a manufacturer that does it?
No, right now I'm literally doing everything. Like
okay, so it's like you stitching the
printers in my room. I sewing machine. I used to work at a screen printer, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
So I have a background in screen printing. And then I just self-taught myself how to sew, and really made sure to master it before I, tried to implement it on my own clothing. So right now, everything's basically manufactured myself. So when I say I do everything, I quite literally do everything. So,
shit, man, you're definitely going far then, because it's very rare that you can find someone that literally does everything like that, as in like literally produces the product from scratch themselves. Because most people that are like in the same league as you, they still outsource their shit,
Yeah, and that's the thing with me is like, I feel like in this day and age, if you want to start a clothing brand and you want to be successful, either you do what every other person is doing and you just print t-shirts and then try to sell them locally until you kind of make it out of like the local area, or you really have to compete. In general, I'd say you really have to compete with like the bigger brands and stuff like that. And the only way that I see is like a genuine way to compete with bigger brands is to know how the fuck to make clothes and how to produce clothes. Like the hundreds is, I'd say they're a huge, first of all, they're fucking huge, number one. They're not really in the same league as an Off-White or like a fucking Supreme or a Babe or any of those brands, but they're still like, they've been around since I think the 1960s, and they're still a thing, and they literally print all of their clothes, which I think is super fucking dope. And that's something that I really respect about them as a brand. Because if you want to compete with like these big companies who mass produce these cut and sew insane pieces, and spend pennies a piece on them, you have to be able to really sit down and be able to do a lot of that stuff yourself, because you're not really going to find someone who's going to make you a small quantity of pieces that have like, the custom like woven tags or like all the other prints, like some print a lot of screen printers won't do, which is interesting. Like if you want to get a unique piece that has a kind of different tone to it, a lot of printers won't do it because they think they can't really do it in a consistent way. But if you can really sit down and learn how to do it, you can do it yourself. So that's like my thing. I don't expect a lot of people or brands, to smaller brands at least, to be doing what I'm doing, which almost is a good thing. But at the same time, I feel like it's super important to the success of, a brand, especially when everything is based on design, to be able to make really unique pieces yourself.
Yeah, man. In the long term, it saves you money and it gives you more customizability, like you said. Plus, I definitely think, I don't know if you currently do, but you should definitely try to market that aspect of your brand some more. Really push that you literally make everything from scratch, because that would, like you said, it makes you stand out, because most smaller brands at least don't do that. So that's something that a lot of people would be interested in.
To be able to really push that aspect, like this shit is actually fucking handmade. Like this shit is, like, the attention to detail is there.
Yeah, definitely, man.
I agree with that.
Are there any people or brands that you want to collab with at some point in the future?
I mean, of course. The thing is, so I talked to, what the hell is his name? I've talked to a couple different brand owners over like the past 3 years. I talked to the owner of Popular Demand. I don't know if you know who that is.
Blake?
Yeah, Blake Ricciardi. I talked to him over the phone, which was really dope.
Yeah, man.
And then
my bad, go on.
I also talked to the brand creative director of Concepts. You know Concepts?
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to Dion Point. That's his name. I talked to him via DMs, and he really stood out to me, especially because first of all, Concepts is their whole thing is collaborations. And one thing that stuck out to me a lot was when I was talking to him through DMs. He said, you know, if you want to collaborate with someone, you have to find someone who's going to almost add something to what you're making without kind of taking away your brand message or like affecting your what makes you unique, which really stood out. Right now, I honestly like. There's a lot of brands I love a shit ton that I totally like to collab with, but I don't know at this point if I can really put like a name on like who I'd want to collab with. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Blake's really chill to talk to, man. He held a seminar type thing a couple of months ago. I think late winter, early spring down in LA that I went to. It was pretty good. Really inspiring.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he did something with Shopify, which is cool.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah, it was a while ago. It was when I think I was like a year into the brand. He used to do these things where he would literally talk to different brands and stuff like that. He would make a post and then people would kind of comment on why they should get like a little mentoring session with him.
I've seen that, yeah.
And was wicked unique and kind of like a funny memory about that is when I talked to Blake, one of the things, like the first couple things he said to me were that he didn't think I'd be able to get, my name trademarked, which was interesting because I ended up getting it trademarked. And then also he said that he was like, I don't know if you're gonna be able to get it trademarked. Like you might want to think about restarting. And that hit me so fucking hard, dude. You don't even know. I was like, I mean, a year isn't that long, but like, especially when you invest so much time in something, you really don't want to hear someone who like you almost respect to like such a level tell you should restart. Like that was kind of something that fucked with me a little bit. But like once I got all that shit figured out, it's just like imagine if I did quit and restart, and then we wouldn't be talking right now. It's just like I think again sticking with your gut,
man.
Being able to really think about what you're doing and be like, okay, even if I do truly respect, whoever it is, your parents, your idols. I've met a ton of people that I idolized that didn't end up turning out how I wanted it to. You always want to stick to your gut, no matter who says whatever, being able to do what you think is the right option, is always the right option.
Yeah, man. I would have used that shit as motivation too. It's kind of funny that you said that because I kind of had the same experience with him in a kind of different way. But at the time during the seminar, I was kind of going through some bullshit because I am in college. I know we talked about that kind of earlier. But it's not necessarily what I want to be doing because I've realized I can't really. I used to have a clothing brand too that I kind of paused because I wasn't able to successfully run it and be in college at the same time because the school was just taking up way too much of my time. And it's fucked up because right when the brand started taking off was when the school started fucking it up. But I was basically asking him, like, hey, man, do you think I should like drop out? The brand's starting to take off a bit. Drop out, take community college classes on the side. So not fully out, but, not in a huge school anymore. And dedicate some time to working on the brand. See if it works. If it doesn't work, I could just come back to school. But he's basically just like, nah, man, fuck that. Just stay in school and drop the brand and, maybe come back to it in the future, maybe not. But I'm a pretty stubborn person.
Interesting.
So I was kind of just like, fuck that, and it pushed me harder, I just used that as motivation. I didn't take any offense to it because he's just being real.
No, I agree.
And shit, now I'm here, man. But yeah. Like I said, just use that shit as motivation.
One thing, what were you saying?
I was just saying, like I said, just use that as motivation when people tell you to stop something. If you really feel like you could pull it off, just keep grinding.
Yeah, that's really interesting that we kind of had a similar experience with him, because it kind of seemed off to me as well.
Yeah.
Because my thing, like the biggest thing with college with me, is that I know that, okay, in the future, if I genuinely wanted to go to college, I would do it. If I, like, in the future, if I genuinely wanted to go to college and it was something I genuinely wanted to learn, not only am I already going to be doing way better than I would be if I just went to college after high school, because a lot of these kids are going to high school because they feel like they need to, not that they want to. So they don't perform as well as they would if they genuinely needed to be in college or genuinely wanted to be there. So I feel like even if you don't go to college, initially after high school, yeah, everyone says, oh, if you don't go to college, if you don't go to college after high school, you're never going to want to go. As much as that is true, if you genuinely want to go to college, you still have that option. It's not like you're not able to go to college after you graduate high school, you know?
Yeah, man. I honestly, stay out of it as long as you can is my advice, especially since your brand's going pretty well. This shit's fucking terrible. The only reason why I decided to go in the first place was because I got a huge scholarship and I didn't want to just turn it down because I wasn't sure if it'd still be around down the line. And it is really helpful, but yeah, man, this shit's fucking terrible if you're trying to run a business. That's kind of why I started the Curator, because the way I've structured it, it'll take way less time than running a clothing brand. So, the Curator wasn't my first option, but it's about to take off.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's funny because if you really break it down, there's not a lot of like streetwear blogs. Like you have your Complex, you have your fucking Hypebeast, you have your fucking High Snow Visey or whatever. But other than that, like there's not a lot of people out there that are really doing a good job on really making a good blog, especially when it comes to like the streetwear hip hop culture style shit. So yeah, I mean, I fuck with it heavy, and I can guarantee you, you can really figure out what are people not doing, which I think it's super cool that you're really reaching out to smaller brands. You don't see that shit that often. You don't see these big people talking to small brands, and really getting an insight on what these smaller brands are doing. I think that's super smart. And that might be something that you could use as like a competitive advantage over these people, you know?
Yeah, man, that's exactly what I am doing. That's the whole reason I started the Curator. But I'll text you about that a bit later, explain it a bit more, because I want to keep this more about you. But we'll definitely talk about that a bit later. Business isn't always pretty. So how do you handle things when shit gets rough and isn't going your way?
I feel like at this point in time, I'm just like super, as a person, I'm just super like, I know myself really well. Especially in high school, I spent a shitload of time by myself. I never really talked to a lot of people in high school, mainly because of the fact that I kind of realized over time that, in high school, if you have, a ton of friends and, you talk to all these people, you notice that when you're a freshman, you have a ton of friends. When you're a sophomore, you have a couple of friends. Junior year, you have little friends. You don't have a lot of friends. And by senior year, you have, one or two people that are your real homies. And so I feel like if you're not by yourself, a bit, when you get into the situation where, you graduate high school and, you go into college, like all these people that you thought were friends with you, you don't hear from them ever again after high school. Like And that's a big thing that I really learned. So when it comes to things like if I'm having issues, whether it's business or non-business, I think just being able to really talk my way through things or really think my way through things and be able to really step back. I don't think it's a bad thing to step away from, your business, or whatever you're working on at the time to really reflect, especially say it is about business, you're having an issue. It's not a bad thing to be able to step back for a couple days, or whatever it is, and be like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to solve this issue or whatever? Really talk your way through things. So, I mean, being able to just step back for like a second and like really reflect on things is how I get through, issues, that I encounter, whether it's business or non-business. But I feel like you really have to know yourself, to such an extent to be able to really realize what the issue is and then be able to reflect upon that.
Yeah, man, I feel that. A lot of people don't know that, so I'm glad you shared that. Honestly, I think we've covered a lot. Would you be down to do a follow-up interview down the line to get more in-depth about the actual business side?
Yeah, definitely. I'm always down, like, to do, like, shit like this. Like, I'm so down for stuff like that.
Yeah, man, it felt like 10 minutes, but I just realized we hit an hour. I'm trying to cap it off around, like, hour 15 at most, because a lot of people don't have that much patience to, sit out a long thing.
Oh, yeah, and there's a lot of stuff that we went over that was kind of rambling and stuff.
No, man, it's not rambling. We talked about some real shit, I did an interview yesterday, and I'm not going to discredit them or anything. It was a really nice interview, but it definitely didn't get as deep as this, and this is the type of content and conversations that I enjoy,
Oh, yeah. No, definitely.
Do you have any suggestions that you'd like to throw out or tips for anyone trying to start a brand or get into business?
So I think if you're trying to start a brand, you really have to like be able to look into your roots and be like, okay, why do I want to start a brand? Why do I want to do this? Is it because I want to make money? Is it because I like clothes and maybe it'd be cool to make clothes? Or are you passionate about it enough that you can learn what you need to learn to really be successful in this? I feel like a lot of people start brands for the wrong reasons. And it's usually like, I want to make money, or, I want to, I think it would be cool, like, there's Supreme, Bape, all these cool brands. Like, I think it'd be cool to have my own thing. But then, you waste your money. There's a business is not easy. I think that's like something that's so important to like break down, is like running a business is not fucking easy in any means. Like, a lot of people think just because you're like quote unquote your own boss, it means that, you get to pick your own hours and like do, whatever you want, and like the money just kind of fucking rolls in, which is like literally the exact opposite.
Yeah,
like,
man.
yes, you get to pick your own hours, but your own hours are like from fucking 12 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning, like
exactly
shit like that. Like, and just, you'll spend a ton of money. You'll waste a ton of money. I don't expect any new brands to profit for fucking 6 years. Any new brand expects not to make any money within 6 years. And even after that 6 years, expect to not make that much money either. Because I feel like when people say, you're buying something for the name, or like, oh, like that Nike shirt, like, oh, that's a $30 Nike shirt, you're just buying it for the name. That is absolutely true to an extent, because these brands have built over fucking a shit ton of time. Like, these brands that are well known, like Bape, that shit has been around for the fucking like last century. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like, they've been around for a very fucking long time. Like, Biggie Smalls wore Bape. Like, that's just like a fucking sign just to to break it down for you. So these brands have built a reputation over a very long time in producing quality products for a very long time to be able to get to the point that they are right now. So it's something that if you're looking to make a quick dollar, there's no point. If you're just doing it because you think you're cool, like I said, test it out. See if you do like it. Don't do anything crazy. A lot of people are like, oh, you have to spend $1 to $2 grand to start a brand, which is completely untrue. Make a couple t-shirts. Find people, locally to sell them to. See if you actually enjoy doing it. And if you're that passionate about it, fuck it, go for it, and you'll be wrong. Because if you're passionate about it, you don't have to worry about whether you're making money right now or, if someone doesn't like your product, So I'd say, really think about what you're doing before you end up starting a business or a brand.
Definitely agree with that. Anyone or anything you'd like to shout out or any releases you'd like to announce before we wrap this up?
If you want to check out, our Instagram page, it's just @NB Supply Co. If you want to follow my personal Instagram, I just post random shit. I'm not very creative with what I post on my personal Instagram, but it's just @Charlie Sarnie. Charlie, CHARLIE, Sarnie, SARNIE. You can check me out, and then obviously if you check out our Instagram, you'll see our website and all the new shit we're posting. It'd be cool if you check me out, I guess.
Definitely, man. Yeah, everyone should go check that out. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on to the show. Definitely look forward to talking to you more about your business in the future. And yeah,
dude, that's dope as fuck. I really appreciate you having me on right now. It's really cool and I enjoyed it.
Yo, definitely, of course. All right, man. I'll hit you up in a bit, tell you about the rest of the Curator and what I'll do with this.
Yeah, dude, definitely. Let me know what's up, and I'm down to do another one eventually in the future. Just let me know and we'll set something up.
Sounds great, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, have a good one, man.
All right, bye.